The C5 Corvette is not only an attractive and affordable sports car, it's also obnoxiously reliable. Let's talk about it. A couple announcements real quick. My shifter finally shipped yesterday. My MGW, in case you're not familiar, I'm doing a contest. Well, kind of a giveaway. Just make sure you comment and subscribe and give a chance to win my Hurst shifter, which I'll be switching out next week with my MGW. You'll get the shift knob from a C6, the boot, and the lower box, of course. I want a quick amendment. Last week in my video about 10 issues with the Corvette, I mentioned that Costco gas was low tier. I was mistaken. It's Sam's Club gas that is kind of mid-tier, low tier, good enough if you will. Costco is actually top shelf gas, so I apologize for that. So today I want to talk about how and why the C5 Corvette is so damn reliable. And if you didn't know, there's actually a C5 Corvette with almost 800,000 miles on it that was inducted to the Corvette Museum a couple years ago, and it has the original motor still. Pretty crazy. We'll come back to that in a little bit. So big picture, the C5 was simply, it wasn't overdone. The engineering was extremely thorough and very well tested. Given the very small budget they had a lot of ingenuity and a lot of passionate engineers that worked on this car, both from the drivetrain to the styling to the interior. Even the interior is not exactly the highest quality. A lot of thought went into it. Now, with that being said, the first couple years of the C5 had a few gremlins and hiccups that got ironed out as the models went on. I do recommend if you were to buy one, a 01 and up, but again, a nice 97 to 2000, don't let it deter you. They have a couple more electronic gremlins. The ABS and fuel sending can be kind of tricky, but can be rectified. I do know that the C5 has more electrical issues over, let's say, the C6. However, almost every electrical issue can be pinpointed back to a bad ground. And I talked about that in a previous video. There's 13 grounding points, and if you make sure every one of those is cleaned and corrosion free, you should be good to go. And I didn't touch on the steering wheel lockout in my last video. That's also kind of an annoying thing about the C5 Corvette, but there are fixes for that as well. Now, one of the biggest key ingredients for why the C5 Corvette is so damn reliable, that's the introduction of the LS motor. And if you're not familiar with LS motors, there's tons of videos on YouTube and what makes the LS motor so great. And I might do a video strictly on the LS platform of why it is so amazing. But long story short, it's a very simple design, pushrod V8, relatively light, and puts out a lot of power. And GM over the years has just perfected this motor. I think they're on the LT series now with the C7 and up, but still very same principles as the original LS motor introduced back in 1997. And anyone that tracks your car, any track record will prove that this motor is damn near bulletproof. Of course, things do break. Anything mechanical can break, and some do break on occasion, but by and large, super reliable motor. Any hiccups you're going to have with them is definitely in the margins. Now, the LS1 and LS6, respectively, which came in the C5 platform, are extremely durable. People have strapped on Pro Chargers, Superchargers, heads, cam, you name it, and these things are good for about 600 horsepower on the internals, which is pretty incredible. As for the chassis of the car, if you're not familiar, they're hydroformed, pretty much meaning they use pretty much a kind of a large steel tube, and they fill it full of water at an extremely high pressure, and it forms this tube, you will, of steel into the frame of what you see here. Well, the underframe, you don't see it, but it's underneath the car. It's in there somewhere. And it's a very unique, innovative way to design a frame. A lot of other manufacturers have copied this, if you will. In the later model Corvettes, and they're now aluminum hydro frames, so they're super light. It's a really awesome technology. But yeah, where I'm going with this is that it keeps the body, after all these years, extremely rigid. There's almost no creaks and rattles at all. Minus if you have a non-fixed roof, you're gonna have little squeaks and rattles. It's just the nature of having a target top. And the convertibles naturally have a little bit of flex in them. You can't really help that in this platform, that is. Furthermore, because the entire body is a fiberglass composite, there's no sheet metal, there's almost no dents. Pretty much if you get hit, it's just gonna crack or leave a hole. But yeah, this car, for being as old as it is, it looks like it's almost brand new with the body on it. It's kind of dirty right now, but rock solid exterior to this car, which I love that. Yeah, they'll never rust. And even the rims were amazing. These things are 20 years old, and there's no curb rash. You know, that's just, you know, due to whoever owned the car and maintained it really well. If you didn't know better, you think the rims were like a year old. It's crazy how well just this entire car holds up. Just looking at it now, it's just a fabulous machine. Gorgeous car. Now, as I mentioned before, there is a C5 Corvette in 1999 at the Corvette Museum with just under 800,000 miles. The owner of this car, Mark Blackwell, he used it kind of as his mobile office. He lives in southern Florida, and he would travel a few times a week from southern Florida to Georgia, sometimes accruing 10,000 miles in a month, like nothing. So it's pretty incredible. He says he was very strict about all of his regular maintenance and oil changes. He always had them done regularly. The car never left him stranded, gave him any kind of grief other than basic consumable repairs, you know, your basic brake jobs, etc., battery changes, stuff like that. And there's no word on the transmission or what type it was, automatic or manual. I'm assuming automatic just because of the type of travel he had to do constantly, but again, no mention on that. But who knows, maybe that is also the original, I don't know. And the only large maintenance he had done to it was about 740,000 miles. He had both the head gaskets replaced, which is pretty incredible. It's not uncommon for a lot of cars for them to go out at 90,000 miles. Now, if I haven't already, I'll include some pictures of that car here somewhere. The outside of the car and the inside looks amazing. Of course, when they got the car up in Bowling Green at the museum, they cleaned it up, I'm sure. But it looks pretty damn good. All those highway miles, you know, there's some rock chips and little bug splatters here and there, but it looks pretty damn good. Now, let me also note, this is Mr. Blackwell's second Corvette. His previous one is C4. He had over 320,000 miles on that one with no issues. So, hey, you know, the C4 is pretty damn reliable as well. And these things on the highway also get awesome gas mileage, so it's pretty cool. At the time of making this video on AutoTrader and Car Gurus, there are roughly 60 C5 Corvettes with over 140,000 miles on the clock, and each one looks pretty damn good. None of them pretty clapped out at all, which is pretty amazing. And there's even a handful over 220,000 miles for sale, and surprisingly, they're still fetching a decent price tag, relative to, you know, the mileage, of course. That's pretty cool. And just for like a juxtaposition, look at any 2000 Mustang or anything Dodge was making at the time, crap pretty much, but there's almost none around, or if there are any around, they're like shit boxes and not taken care of. It also shows the pride of ownership that goes into owning a Corvette, and when you buy one, typically, not a perfect science, but a lot of people like to take care of them a lot more than anything else on the road. It's kind of an exotic American car, if you will. I say that loosely, but people take a lot of pride in them, and I like that a lot. Perhaps one of the best things about owning a C5 Corvette, beyond its reliability, is the cost of ownership. Assuming you're not 18 or have a ton of DUIs, they're relatively inexpensive to maintain. The parts form can be had pretty damn cheap, and they're pretty easy to fix, and almost every issue you have with the C5 Corvette can be remedied with a quick YouTube video Google search. Any problem that's been done to this car, people have pretty much found a solution for it. The only thing still is the 97-2000 ABS, but people are still finding fixes for that and always coming out, so be on the lookout for that if you have that issue. And you can almost say it's irresponsible not to own a C5 Corvette. You can quote me on that. If your wife or girlfriend is giving you the business about getting one, you'd say, look here, woman, I'm getting a Corvette because it's reliable and it's good on gas. And they can look at statistics, and you're not lying. So, alright guys, that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video, and hopefully by this time next week I will have a new video up with the shifter installed, comparing both shifters to one another and picking a winner and getting it sent out to you. Whoever I pick for the winner, just make sure you have an Instagram so I can find you on there, get your info, and get it to you as soon as possible. And once I do pick a winner, I'm going to wait about 24 hours because a lot of people are just scumbags. I like to mirror accounts and say, oh, I won. So I'll make sure after I announce your name, I'll give it 24 hours, make sure no one else is pretending to be you, and get it out to whoever the winner is. So good luck with that, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.